Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Big Ten Mafia Show, part of the College Football Mafia. I am back with you this week. I'm Sergeant Pickles, and with me, as always, is Becky Go Huskies and Moen, although you're X-O-N or whatever it is this week. Isn't that right?
Yes. I thought about putting an X on the Minnesota logo, but I did not do it. So
Yeah, Minnesota at least deserves a little bit of respect with their block M. We can let that one slide. So, Becky, how we doing this week? Quick mention, appreciate you guys holding down the fort. But apparently I missed a lot of entertainment. What have you guys been up to?
Nothing. Just having fun. We didn't coog last week, so they cooged it this weekend with their shot at their championship. But
yes, indeed, our poor friends, the Wazoo Cougars, have been holding it over the Huskies all year about failing on 4th and goal, and they won the Apple Cup. But for as interesting a season as Washington has had, I think losing to, New Mexico or New Mexico State? One of the two? Yeah, that's not a bar you want to set for yourself. Moen, we have entered Hate Week. What else you got going on, my friend?
Well, we have got 4 teams in the college football playoff.
Right on.
As promised.
Yes, Moen's about to make good. He's not welching on his bets for this
4 doubles here. So we'll just start with 2 doubles, and I promise I'm only going to do 4 tonight. If you joined me last night at the end of the show, I apologize. I was slurring and trying to get through it a little bit.
Yeah, the if you go back and highly encourage a listen to Moen After Dark, because it got pretty spicy at the end there, and Rock and Rant was just along for the ride, but it was highly entertaining.
That's to the best conference in America, the real best conference in America, the Big Ten.
Apologies, my son is highly entertaining himself watching Crocodile Hunters, so bear with me as we do the show. Just a quick hi to everyone stopping in. I got to do it, Mo, and I'm a neutral party on this one. Clay Johansson first in the gate. Go Blue. We beat him this year, so I'll give him a little bit of grace. Sorry, my friend. I am neutral when it comes to the game. Conundrum. Nice title. Couldn't agree more. Absolutely. Hey, hold on, buddy. SEC did not have a good week. We can mention that when we talk about the CFP picks later on. Nathan Campbell. Hello, my friend. Daniel Gygax, one of our co-hosts on the Big 12 Mafia. Hello. Steve Moser. Go ahead and make the Oregon guys significantly less manly looking than the other thumbnails. Moen, was that intentional?
Listen, I put it as an Oregon winner, and it came up with a fall pitcher. So and everybody else had kind of cloaks of their thing. I can't help it. It's a duck. How do you want me to make a duck manly? How, guys?
The algorithm knows. It just knows these things somehow. I think we threw the Huskies into it, and it basically looked like Ed Stark from Game of Thrones, but in purple. It was pretty great. Bob Swinger, hello, my friend. Tony Lashin. Moen finally wearing a good-looking hat. Yeah, Moen, you want to explain the headgear?
Yeah, we try and wear different Big Ten hats every week. I'm collecting 17 out of 18. The 18th one I will not collect. I will not wear. Not here, not there, not on a train, not on a plane. So tonight I'm debuting the Minnesota hat. It was either the Minnesota hat or the Maryland hat. I figured I had to give it to Minnesota. Unfortunate the PJ Fleck wouldn't go for it when you're down 4, but congratulations, Minnesota. You lost by 1 point to a top 5 team.
Yeah, well, we will certainly touch on that in the recaps, but I have some – man, PJ Fleck. I don't necessarily like his antics as a coach, but I think Minnesota fans deserve better. The team they put on the field easily could have beat Penn State, and some wonky things happened in that game. But I digress. Shonsky, our BYU Cougar friend, stopping by. A little bit of a rough week for BYU, but onward and upward. They're still in the hunt for the Big 12 championship. Apparently half the conferences, which means there's, what is it, Moen, like 250 championship combinations?
256 potential paths for the conference championship game in the Big 12.
Only one I want to see is absolute chaos and watching a 7-5 West Virginia play in that title game. Because that would be hilarious.
I want Arizona State to make it just to spite myself because I picked them to finish dead last in the conference.
Everybody picked them to finish dead last.
Yeah.
Everybody. The media did. Everybody picked. I didn't see it.
Yeah, our friend Antoine, I think even before the season he said optimistically 6 or 7 wins. Like even ASU fans didn't have the highest of hopes. They thought they could have a solid season, but surpassed all expectations. If you just run Cam Scatabo 30 times a game, it'll get it done. Glenn Lumen. Oh, shoot, I cannot click on the comments. Glenn Lumen. Mabuhay and good morning from the Philippines. Glenn, how you doing, my friend? We are coast to coast and round the globe with our college football mafia shows. We appreciate everyone being here. Is that Ta-Town Hawk or Tay-Town Hawk? I will give you a very solid rock chalk, my friend, because you have partially helped us rid the scourge that is Colorado in the playoffs. We're not fully out of the weeds yet, but
why are you guys so against Colorado? They're fine.
Right. So,
I mean, I don't understand the hate for Colorado. I don't get it.
They're Oregon, except for they're not even as good on the field. Pure marketing.
Huh.
Oregon at least puts up some good games. I'll give them that. But man, I've been off the Colorado train from the beginning. As soon as Dion started saying we're going to compete for championships and we're bringing in 5 stars and paying players and they're driving Lambos, and then you put together a garbage season and don't take any accountability, I'm off the wagon on Colorado. Sorry. That's no offense to you Buff fans. I mean, you guys are cool. We chatted with you when Colorado went through some lean times, but this new breed of Colorado fan that popped out of the woodwork and pretends you're, peak Alabama, nah, I'm not here for it. Sorry. Conundrum, Kinnick on Friday, 18 degrees, a balmy 18 degrees. It could be worse with wind chill. Who knows? But that's Big Ten football, and I can't wait to see some players snot freezing to their nose in a first-round playoff game up north somewhere. All right, Greg Flugar stopping by. Moen proven maroon and gold makes everybody look good. What say you to that, Moen? Does the color look good on everyone?
You know what, Greg? It's a nice hat. It's a Z hat. It's a flexi fit. Got it on sale for $11. It's pretty inexpensive. If you're looking for a hat like this, just jump on Amazon and type in Minnesota hat. $11, dude. And it would look good on you. It's got a white front, got a nice heather gray bill, got maroon on the outside, got that nice little stitching on there. It works well with my fishing shack here out in Wabasha. So looks good, doesn't it, buddy?
I got to say, it is more or less an upside-down version of Washington's Block W, so I'm somewhat fond of the Minnesota head there. Stephen Vitt are not Big Ten, but definitely Maction, what do we call them? The stepbrother conference, same region of the country. Our friend, the Ohio fan. How we doing, my friend?
He's doing good. Ohio's doing good.
Ohio's, yeah. It looks like the MAC is as entertaining as ever, and looks like Ohio's putting together a good season. Moen, you might have to explain this one a little bit. I'm unaware of this drone incursion business, unless Connor Stallions was spotted in the UK recently.
No, Greg is calling from east of the Rockies here on Coast to Coast AM. But listen, Greg, I told you the other day, it's not any of my drones. I am not behind this. My drones are secured. But listen, these aren't foreign drones either. These are probably American drones. And they're probably doing this on purpose to see if they can penetrate their own defenses. American drones are just the drone business in America is so far ahead of everybody else in the world.
Drones will replace us all between AI and robots, so we got that to look forward to. Moving on down, Steve Moser. Warren Sapp's comments motivating Deion Neal was like Charles Jefferson for 1983. This references a little bit before my time, if you guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh, come on. You guys don't know this one?
You don't know Ridgemont. You don't know Ridgemont High. Fast Times at Ridgemont.
Fast Times at Ridgemont. It's been quite a while since I've seen it.
Okay. Forrest Whitaker. Forrest Whitaker played the football player. Jeff Spicoli was played by Sean Penn.
Indeed. That part I do know. The stoner in his infamous van, and then you got Matthew McConaughey building an entire career off of one line. But I digress.
That was a McConaughey in that movie. That's like 10 years before the McConaughey movie.
Oh, yeah. Which one am I thinking of?
You're thinking of Dazed and Confused.
Yeah.
Oh, very similar. Come on, cut me some slack on that. Very similar idea.
1970s Texas, 1980s Southern California, but other than that, exactly the same.
Yes, perhaps we're seeing the generational divide amongst the Big Ten mafios here a little bit.
I'm like, one has Julia Roberts, the other one does not.
Yes, not just anything, but two of us on the panel remember the 80s, and one of us cannot. Ohio beat Ball State. Hey, buddy. Give it a minute. Ohio just beat Ball State in the MAC title game. Absolutely.
Yep. Go Bob.
I gotta tune into some more action. It's right there on Tuesday night. It fills that football gap during the week. You just throw it on in the background and watch some good ball.
We have 7 days of football right now. 7 days of football, guys. Like, watch action. It's fun, especially when it snows. I think it was like last year was like Western Michigan and Eastern Michigan or something like that. Like, it was like a blizzard midway through the game. It was so much fun to watch. Which we saw this week, or last Thursday, of course, with the Browns and Steelers. Same thing happened. All of a sudden, like, it goes from green field to white field. And you're like, wait, that was quick. It took like 5 minutes.
Yeah, that lake effect snow hits bad.
It's quick.
Yeah, I'm quite thankful that as far north as we are in Washington here, we get quite mild weather due to our oceanic climate. We don't quite get the ocean effect snow.
Well, if we didn't have those mountains, we would have weather.
Yes.
Like Minnesota.
As soon as you cross the Cascades, it drops about 30 degrees.
Yeah.
Which is why we've played a snow bowl in Pullman against the Cougs. Yeah. Tay down Hawk. I'm in an earthquake because I'm rocking the laptop on the lap setup and trying to scold my 3-year-old for causing havoc behind the screen here. So bear with me. It's the joys of parenting. But moving right on down, Moen, we're going to recap the week that was, and it sets us up nicely for rivalry week. But there was definitely some interesting games that some surprising results, I'd say, is how I'd categorize it.
Exactly. Pickles Jr. is just you doing a metaphor for the chaos that happened this weekend, but not much of it happened in the Big Ten. That only happens in the best conference in America, the SEC. Friday night, actually a pretty competitive game. It was awful until the second quarter. Michigan State really started putting points on the board. Purdue came back in the second half, held Michigan State scoreless. It wasn't as bad a game as I thought it was going to be.
No.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing. I was watching this and I was like, is this game really this close? When it was, it was 24-3 at halftime. I was like, I probably want to turn this off. And then Purdue came out and scored. And I was like, oh, it's 24-10. Okay. And then Purdue scored again. And I was like, ooh, we got a game now. It's getting tight. Michigan State I don't know what they were doing. I can't tell if they took their foot off the gas or if Purdue actually made adjustments and played with some pride. So I can't tell because Purdue's so bad.
Listen, Ryan Walters he's got to go. Got to go.
Like it's embarrassing at this point to be 0-8 in this conference. You're going to go 0-9, by the way. And we're going to get to it in a second, but Indiana is probably, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, they probably have to put an absolute beating on Purdue. They probably have to, right? Like, it feels like they're going to have to,
Yeah. If we weren't mad enough about Florida State, let them try and say something about a 3-loss SEC team over Indiana with 1 loss. They'll try. I guarantee they'll try.
Oh, no, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. It's probably going to be Alabama or Ole Miss, and most likely it's going to be Alabama.
Yeah. Well, karma comes for us all. My last thought, I wasn't able to catch that Friday game, is I have nothing against Michigan State. I like Jonathan Smith. He was on the Husky staff, obviously. but I was pulling for Purdue. I mean, you can have rough seasons like Washington. We remember we went 0-12. Like even a win, especially a conference win, just does a lot. Yeah. So you don't feel like you're so behind the 8 ball going into the next season, So they definitely got to make a change. I don't even think winning this game would have saved his job at this point. It's just been so dismal. And the tale of two halves part is bizarre because it happened. What was it against Illinois earlier? They just uncorked it in the second half, and it was a very competitive game. Like,
they fired their offensive coordinator after that game too.
Yeah, just do that, but all the time. Just uncork it. You're already, low expectations. Like, I don't get this whole we do what we do, and no, like what you're doing isn't working. Just switch it up. But Purdue, I'm pulling for you in the future, but man, it's going to be an overhaul there.
Jonathan Smith got to celebrate twice though.
Oh,
that one, and he got to celebrate a Pac-12 title.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they don't coog it.
Indeed, they don't. Moving on down.
I'm taking some shots again this week just because.
Yeah, that's the first shot against Wazoo tonight. Moving on down to Indiana playing at Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Score is 38-15. I will say this for people who are saying this proves why Indiana should not be in the playoffs. Go back and look at the statistics in this game. Indiana held Ohio State to a season low offensive yard output. This was the result of there were some special team snafus, obviously the dropped snap, and then you had Caleb Downs returning a touchdown as well. They did get a goal line stand against Ohio State in the first quarter. So I understand people are looking at that and going 38-15. That's terrible. Ohio State blew them out. Ohio State scored a late touchdown. They didn't need to score. And Ryan Day basically, Curt Cignetti had pissed them off enough that he decided to do the old Woody Hayes because they wouldn't let me go for 3. And he scored the touchdown on them. But listen, guys, I understand if you didn't watch a game, if you don't look at the statistics of the game, look at the statistics of the game. Indiana's defense is good. They showed up. They absolutely deserve to be in the playoffs. They deserve to be in over any 3-loss SEC team. I don't even know why this is an argument. And to be honest with you, I think they should host. They should host a game.
Yeah, speaking of Steve Moser invokes a name for us. Not every team, is able to put up a touchdown against an opponent, let alone an unranked opponent on the road. So props to Indiana for at least putting in a valiant effort for a little bit there. And as you said, Moen, there were some snafus in this game. This isn't to take anything away from Ohio State. I think if you play this game 10 times, Indiana keeps it within 2 scores, the majority of them. I think it would be far more competitive other than just some kind of wacky plays.
I think Indiana wins 2 or 3 out of 10. Like this was
possible. Yeah.
No, this was literally Ohio State outplayed them in 2 facets of the game, defense and special teams. And that ended up being the difference. Those special teams blunders, like 21 points. Like there's your game right there. 21. This is like a 17-15 ball game if Indiana doesn't screw up in the special teams area. So, to sit there and say Indiana doesn't belong just because you're looking at the box score doesn't, like Moen said, it's not going to give you the full picture. Indiana had to play better defensively, and that's not even a lie. But Ohio State was better in the end defensively and in special teams, 2 out of 3. Like Indiana's, offense couldn't do much. So the defenses did stand out. The goal line stand. If you guys go back and watch that goal line stand in that first quarter, we're not talking like Ohio State's like 8 yards trying to like ram it in there. They are a yard, and they could not like. Indiana's defensive line was in the backfield on 3 of the plays. 3 of the 4 plays, Indiana's defensive line is in the backfield, disrupting the crap out of it. So, including the 4th down stand, they got immediate penetration and just stuffed him. I mean, he was stuffed. Like, I have not seen a running back get stuffed that hard at the goal line. Like, he went right up the gut and went nowhere. Like, as soon as he got the handoff and got a foot away from the quarterback, you just see an Indiana helmet. You're like, oh, God, like, this is where we're going.
Yeah. So Tony Lashman rightfully points out Indiana's punt team was the difference. I think Indiana's punt team is the reason the margin is what it is. So Ohio State playing the way they did on the day, we're going to win that game. But yeah, that's the reason you got a blowout where I think the margin, Moen, wasn't it relatively close?
At half, it was only 14-7. Like I said, then they scored 14 in the third. They went for a late touchdown. This should be 31-15.
Even so, you doubled them up.
Right.
So,
but listen, Indiana deserved to be in there. Playing Ohio State, their strength of schedule is now number 51. So we can stop with all the number 103 strength of schedule arguments. You can only play who's put in front of you. They have, outside of Michigan and Ohio State, they have dominated their opponents by 30-plus points on average per game.
Yeah, strength of schedule didn't stop anyone arguing for Texas last year because outside of playing Alabama, their strength of schedule was terrible. So, talking out both sides of your mouth, like, I wish ESPN, honestly, at this point would just say, yeah, we're trying to get the best teams and the biggest brands in because it pumps our TV numbers. Like, just tell it like it is. At least be honest with us. And Conundrum mentioning, please do like, subscribe, share. We do this every Monday, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. And we do it even through the off season. And we're coming up on championship week, but there's definitely topics that will carry through even after the games have finished playing for this season. So we appreciate everyone being here. And moving on down to the fighting Flugars, the fighting Tony Lashens against Penn State. And James Franklin was we got to come up with a term for him, Becky, because he was so close to Couging it. My goodness. He tried his darndest.
He tried. I watched this game start to finish, and because I watched this game, and then I watched the Notre Dame game, and then I watched the UCLA game, all in a row. Because I was like, well, since I'm on Peacock, I'll just stay on Peacock. No, this was a game in which Minnesota outplayed Penn State. Minnesota out-physicaled Penn State. Minnesota could do it felt like if Minnesota wanted 2 or 3 yards, they were going to get 2 or 3 yards. What ended up being the difference was he tried, PJ Fleck went conservative when he shouldn't have. You have to play to win the game. He's playing to just keep pace with Penn State. You cannot play to keep pace with a top 5 team. It doesn't work. You have to go out and you have to out-physical them, which he did. You have to outplay them, which he did. He tried to outsmart them. Don't outsmart them. Just play your game. You were winning when you're playing your game. And, Moen, I got to ask you, when he went, instead of going for it and kicking that field goal, what went through your head?
I knew he was going to lose. Listen, PJ Fleck is a disciple of Jim Tressel. He was on Jim Tressel's staff here at Ohio State. He is a firm believer in Tressel ball. He takes the points. He is not aggressive. Again, you're down 4, playing a top 5 team in the country. You're already bowl eligible. You need to play for the win. PJ Fleck did not do that. And that's a shame because these kids from Minnesota really played their ass off that game. I thought Becky's right. They out-physicaled them. They outplayed them. They deserved the win. I just wish the coach would have had more confidence in them.
God, their defense was lights out. Minnesota's at points. I was shocked. Like they were getting to the quarterback. They were in the backfield. They were disruptive. And then their offensive line, I'm not kidding. Their offensive line was the best way to describe it. They were bullies. Bullies. Like they're still blocking dudes 8-9 yards downfield. Whistles blown. They're still blocking these dudes. I don't know how many times like refs had to break stuff up. They were just bullying the Penn State defensive line and the front 7. It was just an insane amount of play that Minnesota did. And, well, you know what? We're just going to kick a field goal and take the points here. You don't know when you're a top 5 team with that good of a defense. You don't know when you're going to get to see the end zone again. You have to go for the end zone. And if they lost, say 26-22, would anybody be complaining? No, because you went for it. You just didn't get it. And what we'd be talking about is, could there have been a better play call? Did somebody miss an assignment? What happened that caused that problem? But you can't kick a field goal and expect to just, oh, hey, we're going to take the lead. We're just going to keep pace and do this and this. You got to play to win.
Yeah.
Play to win. He played for overtime, it felt like. So.
What bothered me about that is that you weren't even tying the game. Like, if you tie the game and you're relying on defense, okay, I kind of get it. But
trying to stay within a field goal.
If you go for it on 4th, you've now pinned them deep, and the defense you would have to rely on anyway has more field to work with. So yeah, it was pretty mind-boggling. I don't understand. It's like PJ Fleck is aggressive at all the wrong times. Like, he'll go for it on wacky 4th downs in his own end and stuff that I don't totally understand. But when it's crunch time, it's like he kind of gets it backwards for some reason. I think it's cost him a couple of games this year.
Yeah.
Real quick, Mr. Ed Wainer. Hello from the Big Apple. BYU, ASU, take care of business and settle the conference title. Absolutely. That's a game I'd love to see, BYU, ASU. And absolutely check out the Big 12 Mafia show with Bomber, Wild Ute, Daniel Gygax, and the gang, and they will go over the 1,000,001 possibilities for the Big 12 title game.
All 300 of them.
Yeah, all 90 billion of them. Just shake your magic 8 ball for who you want to come out on that one.
I'm like, we have 3 scenarios in the Big 10. Oregon plays one of 3 teams.
Yeah, I mean, Oregon's in, but the overwhelming favorite is Ohio State takes care of business. They're in. Indiana needs an Ohio State loss and a win, and Penn State needs everybody except for them to lose.
Yep.
So,
but we know we know this.
But we know it's simple. No crazy tiebreakers. Sorry, Becky. No coin flip like you wanted.
No, at this point, I would love to just see, like, I don't know, Iowa be in the mix or Minnesota to be in the mix, because or Illinois, they're like right there. They're all like, Washington, like everybody who's like got 5 conference wins, 4 conference wins. I want to see them all in the mix. It would be great.
Yeah, it's kind of a blend.
That's what West Virginia is. West Virginia is that team. They have all these conference wins, and that's it. Somebody, it was CBS Sports. Before we get on this, I saw it on TikTok. CBS Sports posted like Kansas, and then they took that clip from The Dark Knight Rises, where he's talking about looking in the jungles or whatever from The Dark Knight, when he's looking in the jungles and some people can't be bought. Some people just want to see the world burn. They had Kansas overlaid on top of that. And I'm like, that makes sense, because they can't make it, but they are sure as heck doing their part to destroy everything. We don't have that problem because Illinois managed to take care of business against Rutgers. And I'm telling you right now, my jaw hit floor when dude caught that ball and scored. I thought he was dead to right. I was like, oh, he's just throwing a ball up in the air. Like, they're not going to get there. Nope. He caught that, ran untouched all the way to the end zone. I don't even know what to say. Rutgers blew that game. I mean, Rutgers just blew that game.
I do appreciate that both teams basically decided to not play defense in the 4th quarter. That makes it, an exciting finish.
It was fun.
Yeah, and don't forget, Greg Schiano tried to freeze the kicker. Kicker misses the field goal. Illinois decides to throw the touchdown and wins the game off of that.
Oh, so that dude missed that kick badly. Yeah. He missed it badly. See, this is why, like, Pete Carroll and them in the past have been like, I like to ice the kicker. Kick it. Beat us, you beat us. But that dude missed that kick so badly that, Illinois, they were like, we have no choice. We have to go first. We have to get a touchdown. We have no choice. We have to at least get a first down. We got to do something, because he missed it. Like, those kickers that we see every day on game day, like Pat Bryant trots out there that are just, he looked like Jason Kelsey kicking that ball. You guys see the Jason Kelsey kick on game day? That's what it looked. It was bad. Like, I'm still laughing about it. It was so bad. Only can happen to Rutgers, though. I swear to God, it can only happen to Rutgers.
I think the only kick from the entire weekend that was worse was the Washington Commanders kicker missing the extra point that would have sent it to overtime after they scored a miracle touchdown.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, there's the one that in the Carolina game that hit the referee in the face. That was pretty good too.
Yeah, but that's just karma, right?
That wasn't a long field goal either, by the way. I thought it was a long field goal. That was a short field goal. Shorter than the extra point. He kicked him in the face.
Yeah, Tony summing it up simple. Like, Illinois is having a great season. Maybe they didn't quite reach the heights. I thought they would be what Indiana is, essentially. I thought they were that team that was going to have a meteoric rise. And they've had some injuries along the way. Quarterback was out for a game or two, and solid season. Like 8-3 is nothing to scoff at. They could get to 9 wins and potentially 10 with a bowl game.
If they were like 100 miles further south, we'd be talking about how they just barely missed the playoff right now, or belong in the playoff.
Yeah,
but
if they swap the logos with Kentucky, that's exactly what the conversation would be.
Not even Kentucky. We just put a little M there for Missouri.
Yeah. It's unfortunately how it works.
I want to be wrong, but we all know that's right. Just cross one river and hey, look, there we are.
Yeah. Daniel Gagax piping in about the Big 12 show. Just be a 2-hour breakdown of how West Virginia can make the Big 12 championship. I'm here for it. Our 2 Utah friends did not exactly have the best weeks between them, so maybe a little West Virginia coverage would cheer up the chat.
I'm here for watching a team that was 2-6.
Yeah.
Destroy every single team that they played and magically make a bowl game.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
I'm here for it. All of it. I want all the chaos. Like, it's the only conference where we didn't have chalk. There's the only conference where we didn't have chalk.
Speaking of our...
Because Florida State was terrible. Nobody saw that, though.
Yeah, speaking of our next Big Ten game, it immediately came to my mind. Kansas this year is the bizarro world Maryland, where they only start playing good football in November, whereas Maryland just forgets how to play football.
Yeah, Maryland wasn't playing good football in October either. It's been a terrible season for them. They do have one conference win. That makes them a little bit better than Purdue, but Maryland I expected so much more of them this offseason, and they just Iowa, what can you say? Iowa's like on their 4th quarterback, and I don't know. Iowa and Nebraska, that's, a big matchup we have Friday. I only watched the highlights of this game. I did not bother to watch the whole game. I had it on DVR. I watched like the first quarter, and I was just like, I can't put myself through this, not even at 4 times speed. I'm turning it off. I turned it off. I watched the highlights.
When Maryland, this was a 19-13 ball game. 11 minutes left in the 4th quarter. I'm not kidding. You wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it because they lost by 16, but it was 19-13.
Yeah. And
then Iowa ripped off like a 70-yard run or whatever it was. Ball game. I was like, well, I don't know what to make of Maryland because they played like if they had just slightly better talent. They beat Oregon because they were that much better. Like they looked at they had multiple shots to score against Oregon and couldn't get it done. Even Oregon fans were like, we might not do this.
Yeah, you go look at the recruiting.
Iowa, I don't even know what to say. They were so bad for 3 quarters of this game. But Iowa, like Moen said, they're on their 100th quarterback of the season. Some kid they found, eating breakfast at one of the lunch halls. And he happened to be able to, oh, hey, can you throw a football? Sure. Yeah, they got within 6. And then, like I said, touchdown. That was it. Nothing. They didn't do anything offensively after that. Nothing. It was terrible.
I did not finish.
I think my favorite comment coming out of that game was, I can't wait to watch Alex Orji play for the Hawkeyes next year because they just keep recycling Michigan quarterbacks who can run, kind of.
Speaking of
Iowa, you need a quarterback. Michigan, same boat. but at least you recruit like 5-star kids. So Michigan has no excuse. Iowa, get you a quarterback. We got a few of those out west. Go looking for them. They're out there. We promise. And you'd be like a playoff contender type team. Moving on down to that team up north and Michigan. Moen, anything to say about this game other than Northwestern just getting housed?
I mean, Michigan looked good. That's why, I'm not taking this weekend for granted. I hope Ohio State is not either. Northwestern looked terrible. Part of that is because Michigan's defense is really, really good. It is not a bad defense at all. They ran the ball down their throat. I mean, they just ran the ball down their throat. I mean, and that's what Michigan's built to do. So we'll see how this turns out. But, I mean, there wasn't anything exciting in this game. I watched this game on 4 times speed. It was just Michigan's 3 and out on Northwestern. Run the ball.
It was 10-6.
Yeah.
It was.
Second quarter.
That was kind of the story of this week's games, is like all these teams that, the box score looks really bad at the end. They're like, well, they were in it for a quarter or two, and then it all went to hell in a handbasket.
Michigan only had 200 yards rushing. They threw for 195. Michigan scored 5 touchdowns running.
That's unacceptable.
And they're not small runs. I was like, they're like 20+ yards.
Yeah.
Like they
Tony Lashin, is Texas' best win now Michigan? Man, it's up there. It certainly is. A lot coming.
Michigan's bowl eligible.
Hey, it is now.
I want the chaos of Texas losing to A&M just to see how funny it would be. It would just, what do they do with themselves in the SEC? I did notice, Moen, as we scrolled up, they don't even have the dignity of putting the yellow behind the Iowa Hawkeyes logo, so it's actually visible. That's how much contempt they have.
I have to take credit. That's me. I put all my monitors on dark mode.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
even Ohio State's, because it's written in black.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is all Moen's fault. He likes dark mode and sunglasses while he uses his computers. He's just special like that. But we love you, Moen. It's okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. We'll get
Wisconsin fans.
Game for sure.
Wisconsin fans are not loving Luke Fickell at the moment.
Oh, Nelly.
Nebraska absolutely housed the Badgers this weekend. It was never, ever close.
Well, after the first quarter, it was. But in my opinion, Nebraska was like, I don't know. They looked far more dangerous than the two. I watched a good portion of this game.
Can we point out that Nebraska scored 10 points in the second quarter in about 15 seconds?
Yeah.
15 seconds.
It was not a good game for the Badgers. Listen, they need a quarterback. Good news is, if you're a Badger fan, Wisconsin did get a recruit this week, 4-star quarterback, former Michigan commit. That's good news because that is something the team desperately needed. They went into this season expecting to play Tyler Van Dyke. Obviously got injured in that Alabama game very early. Then, they put in Braden Locke, who had all this time in the world as starter the previous year. He just, can't get it done. Hopefully helps coming to Wisconsin. They've still got to find that OC slot. Kevin Wilson got fired. Tom Herman got fired. Those are both guys Fickell has some experience with at Ohio State. So we'll see if one of them possibly lands that job in Wisconsin.
I don't know what to say. Like, first off, can we talk about how corny Dylan Raiola is? He was doing the Patrick Mahomes celebrations after every score. It's like, dude, you're such a nerd.
I forget how old he is. Like,
it's getting weird. I'm sorry.
Like weird. When he was like a young kid playing middle school, high school football, like, yeah, Mahomes was at Kansas City already. Like, I understand that, but like, it's kind of lame. I'm sorry.
It's getting weird. And
as the kids say, cringe.
Yeah, it's just at a point where it's like, dude, it's kind of weird. But I will say this: he threw the ball better this week than he did a week ago and earlier in the year. They bounced back pretty well after the USC issues. But yeah, Wisconsin I don't don't know what to say. They looked really, really good against Oregon.
Their defense did, and this
Yeah.
is classic letdown.
God, like I don't know how you do that. That's a better offense in Eugene than you have there in Lincoln. And Wisconsin's like, hey, you're coming to our house, but we're not giving up more than 16 points. We're not giving you hundreds of yards on the ground. We're not going to let you throw the ball well. And then they go out there and Bill Raiola looks actually like Patrick Mahomes and just lights you up.
No.
I get Luke Fickell isn't, he's like, he brought in the air raid and all that, but he's always had decent. When he was at Cincinnati, they had good defense.
Listen,
the guy can recruit defenses, and I don't know what to say because they look so good one week. They look like they're going to pull an upset, and then the next week, I mean, they just laid a goose egg. And, I mean, it was bad. 10 points in 15 seconds is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you do that. It's so hard to fathom. They basically you screw up a kickoff. You can't screw up a kickoff.
Yeah. My ultimate takeaway from this game is twofold. One, Wisconsin, Fickell. I get it. You need to recruit more to the system you're playing, but decide who you want to be. Decide who you want to be. Play the guys that work best in that system. Don't do this 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Traditional Wisconsin fans want this, but I want a different. No, commit to it. And if it's rough, it's rough. But this was your season to iron it out. And I don't feel like you did that. You're setting yourself up for another season of trying to iron it out and get the system in place and the guys in place.
I do want to point out, Wisconsin fans, there's talk, a little bit of talk, that a certain offensive coordinator in the NFL who had great success for 2 years at a certain school that's now in the Big Ten might be available come the end of the year. There's a little bit of talk about that, little rumor going on out here. If he becomes available and Luke Fickell's not jumping on him to try to get him as the OC, I would be very mad if I'm a Wisconsin fan. And I say that because Grubb may or may not remain. There's a lot of rumors out there that Grubb may not be retained as the Seahawks offensive coordinator training there because they're not running the ball very well.
Which is silly because he's not the problem.
He's not the problem, but
I digress.
There's a little bit of talk about it, but it's like if someone like that becomes available, you have to shoot for it. At least go out and find one of these guys like a DeBoer disciple. There's a bunch of them. I mean, find a DeBoer disciple. Find a disciple of Chip Kelly. Find a disciple of, the list Sarkisian. Steve Sarkisian is out there. Always has great offenses. You don't think he's had great coaching, like great coaches underneath him when he was an offensive coordinator? It's like I don't understand Wisconsin's issues. Either figure it out, right? Hire somebody, move on from them, get it done, because if you can't run the football, Wisconsin's always been known to run the football. USC is an air raid team, and they can run the football. And they did it against UCLA. They did it really, really well against UCLA.
Yeah. Yeah, but, flip side of it, Wisconsin, you got some stuff to work on. You got a chance to get bowl eligible. This was the bowl eligibility bowl because you had 2-5-5.
They've got to be what, Minnesota this week?
They got to beat Minnesota. That's not an easy task.
That's not an easy task. You better hope they have a little bit of what you had after losing to Oregon. You better hope they have a little bit of that in them because otherwise it's going to get ugly quick.
Yeah, Nebraska side of this, I think you're seeing Dylan Raiola, freshman, with 10 games under his belt versus freshman in his first few starts. But at this point, true freshmen and redshirt freshmen, they've got nearly a full season. They played in some tough environments, especially in this conference. I think you are seeing that evolution, and he has all the tools to be a good player, but he still was prone to freshman mistakes. So I think you're kind of seeing that evolution. Who knows? Maybe that, depending on if they get a good quality opponent in a bowl game, he could put up a really impressive performance to cap the year off. So moving on down, we have, in my
Battle of the Bell.
in my opinion, the most aesthetic matchup in all of college football because they always go color on color. Even as a Washington fan, UCLA Powder Blues, USC in the Scarlet, it's peak aesthetic on-field matchup. What do you think, Mo? And are we in the style Hall of Fame for matchups with USC UCLA?
I stayed up to watch this game.
Good game.
You know, it was a good game.
It was raining. I didn't realize it was raining down there.
Yeah, the Rose Bowl actually looked like it was maybe 3/4 of the way full, which was surprising to me. Having watched it this season, I haven't really seen it that full before. UCLA showed up to play. USC came back at the end and ended up topping them. Good news for USC. USC is now bowl eligible as they go into their rivalry week next week. Because apparently UCLA is not their chief rival if you ask a Notre Dame fan.
Even if you ask USC fans.
If you ask USC fan, they're going to tell you, no. it's
Sorry,
Notre Dame.
UCLA, your main rival, might play in
Berkeley. I will say this, though. This rivalry is the meanest of the two, especially in the parking lots. Like people do get stabbed and shot, and things have happened in the parking lots of this rivalry in the past. So the Notre Dame one is an actual like, I hate you, whereas USC and UCLA are like, I hate you, but I got to work with you tomorrow. So
yeah, it's real awkward to get in a fist fight and then see that dude in the office the next day.
Yeah, typically how it goes. But that was a great game, though. I mean, let's just say the USC offense looks a little bit better with the running quarterback.
Yeah, Maivia.
Yeah. And I mean, like he was a little off at times. There was a couple of throws that it's like, you probably just, a little more touch and you get that in there. There was they had three possessions within the 10-yard line and could not get a touchdown. So that's a problem. It does need to be shored up, especially playing a team like Notre Dame this week, whose defense right now is ridiculous. But the promising parts were, one touchdown. They had a touchdown, but it hit the ref because the ref didn't get out of the way, which I thought was pretty funny. I was like, dude, you got to move. the tight end's coming right at you. You got to get out of the way, ref. No, he's just going to stand there, get hit, basically get hit with the ball. But yeah, a few things like that game should not have been close. Just pointing that out, that game should have been. It should not have come down to oh hey, we got to get a stop. So, and it did. It came down to we got to get a stop.
Yeah, this game. I mean, Mo, and you watched probably more of it than I did. I caught a decent portion of it, but I swear, the highlight reel only had to be 5 minutes long because it was either incompletion, short run, whatever, tackle for loss, or a 46-yard bomb down the field for no reason. It was so bizarre to watch.
It was weird. No, it really was like that.
Yeah. Sidebar, Tony, if you put that as a paid super chat, I will attempt to have my son say what you want him to say there. That's my
Either way,
you.
Anybody who's ran into a badger, badgers do stink. They are of the same family as skunks, so they release a musk. It is just as bad as a skunk. So
we do have them here in Washington. They're quite mean.
We do. We have them, and we're the only state in the lower 48 with Wolverines.
That still has Wolverines.
That's actually not true, Becky. We looked it up one time. There was one Wolverine spotted in the state of Michigan.
When? 1967?
No, recently. Recently, Google it. As
I will, but I'm we've had Wolverines spotted at the ocean.
We're the only one with a scientifically established population of Wolverines in the lower 48. How about that?
We have a lot of them. We have a lot of them. So
you can keep them.
They're mean as hell.
They're mean suckers.
Oh,
we have lots of weird. Yeah, in Washington State, we have lots of weird, angry ground animals.
We're also the only one with the Canadian lynx. The only state with Canadian lynx too, and they only come down in the winter. So
we're a geographical oddity.
We're weird.
Moving on down to the previews, we have the rivalry week. It is hate week, everybody, for your hated people out there. We don't have some clever saying because if you attempted to Yeah, if you attempted to do the thing that, like they say, huck the Huskies, if you attempted to do that with Oregon and reverse the letters for the Ducks, it
works
still
the same way.
It still ends up being a bad word, so we can't do that. So, Moen, do you have your infamous anti-Michigan saying?
Yeah, we just say F Michigan.
There you go.
That's one of the times when you're a kid that it's acceptable to use the F word. But we're in hate week. We're in rivalry week here in the Big Ten. These are the rivalries. I know you guys got to get used to them. Minnesota versus Wisconsin for the Axe. The Axe is a trophy they play for. We play a lot of trophy games in the Big Ten. Wisconsin currently has the Axe. Minnesota has to go to Camp Randall and take it back. Wisconsin is favored by 2 points in this game, guys.
So I'd call that a push, essentially. Home field for Wisconsin, that's a push. This is a pick 'em all day, and I think that's actually pretty appropriate.
It's a pick 'em, but I'm picking the Gophers.
You believe in you're going to row the boat all the way to Madison.
I'm going to row the boat because the guys over there in Madison, they're about as reliable. They're about as reliable as the game controllers back in the 80s. I thought I hit A, I hit B.
I will say though, I mean, the thing Minnesota does really well is run the dang ball, and the thing Wisconsin does pretty darn well is defend the dang ball. So
I was going to say that. I almost said they're about as reliable as a condom that was, that's been stapled 3 times, but I don't want to be that mean.
Moving on.
They're not Cougars. They're still not Cougars.
134th meeting between these schools.
Is this the most storied rivalry in the conference? I know there's a few of them that are up there.
This might be the oldest one, but it's not the most storied.
Yeah, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but to all the people kind of poo-pooing some of the new rivalries, USC, UCLA, I believe that was either 94th meeting, I want to say. Washington and Oregon is over 100 meetings, so it's actually the most storied rivalry from the Pac-12.
Yeah, it's Wisconsin, I was just looking this up on Wikipedia. It is, Wisconsin is 63-62 with 8 ties.
Oh,
Nelly.
Just pointing that out.
Yeah,
I just want to point that out.
It's a pick'em game and a pick'em series. I'm here for it.
I'm here for Minnesota to tie the series. The fighting Flugars are going to get there.
The natural order of things is that this must be a tied series, I guess.
I'm wearing the Minnesota hat, but I'm picking the Badgers because I think PJ Fleck his conservative play calling will end up costing them the game. I think this might be the game that Fickle can actually get that defense up for. The offense, you guys have to do something.
Got it.
You got to do something.
Yeah.
So. I got to score. Like Minnesota scores. They don't score in bunches, but they'll score.
Yeah.
They score like every single possession. They're going to score. They're going to get 3 points. Wisconsin's got to keep pace. Got to keep pace. You're at home.
Yeah.
You're playing for one more game. You might as well and you're playing for your Axe. I can't describe to you how imperative it is that you actually beat them and get bowl eligible and take away their ability to go into the off season with 7 wins. And they've already had a successful season. You haven't. On Wisconsin, that's all the motivation I want.
Yeah, play Minnesota like you played Oregon. Yeah, I mean, that would get it done.
That would do it.
For success.
I mean, play them like that defensively, not offensively, because offensively, trash.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. I think offensively, or rather defensively, they are very, very similar, and I think very comparable. I think what makes the difference is, although Minnesota's offense is limited, I think it will be the more consistent of the two. Wisconsin is so hot and cold. Like when they play Oregon, it looks pretty good. They're moving the ball okay for a little bit, and then it just shuts off. Minnesota is deeply frustrating to watch as a neutral fan sometimes, but they run and pass enough to score points. They did it against Penn State. It wasn't always flashy, but they scored enough points to keep them in that game. So I like the Gophers in a very close one.
Yeah, I'm just all about the Gophers on that one.
Wisconsin friends in chat, like I said, this is virtually a pick 'em to me. I'm just going off of what I've seen over the course of the year.
All right, moving on. We've got the Heroes Trophy played between Nebraska and Iowa. This is a relatively new rivalry inside the Big Ten. Who makes the best corn, as I call it? Nebraska travels to Iowa City, Iowa. It's at Kinnick, Black Friday. Both those games are on Black Friday, by the way. Minnesota, Wisconsin at noon. The Heroes Trophy is going to be played at night. Played at Iowa City. Iowa's favored by 5.5.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like Iowa here.
Yeah, in Kinnick, tough weather conditions. I know people are saying, I saw earlier in chat, someone's like, oh, Rail is a Georgia boy. He doesn't know anything about cold. It's like, okay, maybe. We definitely, the quadrangle of hate folk are alive and well in chat. Heroes Trophy stays in Iowa. Lashin, Nebraska beats Iowa easy. Yeah, a lot of strong opinions on this one, it seems.
It depends on who your rival is. That is who you're rooting for here.
Well, Iowa's got 3 rivalries in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
so.
I was going to say,
I do love the quadrangle of hate, though. That was one of the things I was very excited about joining the conference because, I don't know how much Wisconsin cares about beating Nebraska, but they seem to get up for those games for whatever reason.
I swear to God, if North Dakota and South Dakota had FBS teams and they were in this conference, this would be the greatest set of rivalry ever. This would be the best.
But so moving on to, or rather not moving on, but how do we see this one going? Iowa seems to get wins on wearing their opponents into just a pulp, even though their offense is just so hard to watch. It's like their offense is super difficult to watch as a person. And then you're like, wow, they put up 30. How did they do that? I mean, explain it to me because I don't understand this one for Iowa's offense.
They recruit glass eaters on the offensive line.
Glass eaters.
And they run the ball. I mean, and that it's not pretty sometimes, but
yeah,
you got Caleb Johnson. I forget the other kid's name. You just run the ball down somebody's throat. And, it's the defense will stack the box, but those offensive linemen for Iowa can really just bully people around. So,
yeah,
I'm shocked the offensive linemen for Iowa are allowed to get on a plane together. Like, they're a lot of dudes. Like, they are big. Have you seen that? Like, they are huge pickles.
Yeah,
huge.
I mean, when you're bucking hay bales all day since you're 10 years old, that'll have that effect on people.
God. And I mean, like, this, like Mohamed said, whoever runs the ball best is going to win the game. Well, guess what Nebraska does really, really well, guys? They stop the run. They're really good at stopping the run.
Yeah, Moulton, I think, is the other name.
Moulton's the other RB there, yeah. So he had a good game last weekend. So
the two-headed monster, and Johnson's already a handful enough by himself.
This to me comes down to who has the best tight ends.
Well, then that's going to be Iowa because nobody produces better tight ends in the country than Iowa.
Yeah.
The tightest ends you've ever seen.
That's why I'm going with Iowa. Like, no offense to Nebraska. I think, like, you had it really good. Like, you've had a great year. I just think Iowa's better. Just better. Barely, but they're better. You're better than them at quarterback, and that's about it. That's about it. Like, you're not better defensively. You're not better at the O-line. You're not better running the ball. Now, the question will be for me is, can Iowa throw the ball? Because I think Nebraska is going to be able to shut down the running game for most of it. Not all of it, but most of it. And that's where I have a problem if I'm an Iowa fan going, can we beat them if we can't run the ball?
I mean, Becky,
you have to rely on play action, and you can't do it if you're not running.
You and I experienced the answer to that question where it was a big breaking news story during the Washington game that Iowa had their first quarterback passing touchdown in like 13 months.
Yeah.
So, no, they cannot pass the ball effectively. Yes, they can dump it to – that's the caveat, I guess. Yes, they can dump it off to a running back and a tight end, and they can scamper down the field and just get road graders in front of them. Can they pass the ball downfield? Absolutely.
Hey, the great Mike Leach couldn't run the ball, but he could design an offense to dink and dunk that thing to death.
Yeah. This is the anti-Mike Leach.
Yeah. Just like dink and dunk at Iowa. Like
Iowa doesn't have a quarterback, guys. They've got a linebacker playing quarterback.
Hey.
Now, granted, he was recruited, I think, as a quarterback, but they moved him to linebacker. But
I mean, recruited is one thing. I mean, Cam Chancellor, all-pro safety for the Seahawks, was a quarterback in college. Like, changing positions is a big thing, And I don't think he's exactly studied the playbook as a quarterback either.
No,
So.
well, you know what? If you have a linebacker at quarterback, screw it. Just run the damn ball.
that's what they
You're playing Nebraska. You're playing Nebraska.
Johnson's good enough, and their line's
just bring
good enough.
out, just bring out the memories of Tommy Frazier and run that thing. Just run it right and left, and just run the option. Option.
Conundrum pointing out them corn-fed boys have the tightest ends you've ever seen. Absolutely, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Willie with the $5 super chat. Absolutely appreciate it, my friend. If the Badgers win, Greg will eat a cheeseburger. If the Badgers lose, he will buy 20 PATC memberships. Greg, help a brother out here. We need a little input from a friend to hold up this bargain, but we would really appreciate it. And I feel like Greg should have to do it televised on his show.
This has to be televised, Ryan. If you're putting that much money up against him.
Yep.
2, you should get to pick where the cheeseburger comes from. My recommendation is a Culver burger with extra cheese.
We don't have Culvers out here, so.
Oh God, if you guys come east, you got to have Culvers.
It was that cheeseburger in Minnesota that has the cheese like in the burger.
Oh, they call them. We call them Messy Betsy's here. I forget what they call them.
He should have to eat one of those.
Yeah, I will say.
I had one. They're pretty good.
On my one trip to Wisconsin, I stopped in Milwaukee and I went to White Castle. I was extremely unimpressed. Not gonna lie.
White Castle's only good if you're high, Pickles.
Yeah. I was just
late night place.
I had low expectations and they didn't even meet that. I'm sorry. I know it's like, as you say, drunk people food, but man,
thank you, Tony.
I don't get it. I don't get the hype. The Juicy Lucy. There we go.
They refer to them as Juicy Lucy's. We call them Messy Betsy's.
There you go. Well, everything with cheese on it. But I think that's – hey, Greg, if you're still out there in chat, maybe we'll have to DM you after this, but I think that's a pretty fair bargain. Just saying. But I would pay money to see that. I'll throw a few bucks in chat if Greg's brave enough to take that on.
Yeah,
Moving right along.
Hold on a second, Pickle.
Oh, okay.
Now, did you specify where he was getting the burger from, Ryan?
Got some breaking
because this is important. I think you need to have him get it from Culver's. Make it a butter burger with extra cheese. Failing that, get a Wendy's Baconator. Not the son of Baconator, the full Baconator.
I feel like Greg should be able to choose his burger, but it must contain a large portion of cheese.
Yes.
Greg gets to specify the burger. You can't just give him one with like extra 6 Kraft singles slapped on top. That's not going to do it.
Well, I mean, since we're talking about a game, let's talk about the game.
There you go.
All right, so what's the over-under? 15 million people will watch this thing on Saturday?
Yeah. Listen, the spread on this is Ohio State 21.
Oh, God.
Oh,
when was the last time it was that high?
Yo, they're trying to set you up for failure, Moen. What is up with that?
Listen, this is Michigan's playoff game, guys.
It is.
If you think Ohio State's just going to roll in there and roll over them.
No. It's in the shoe. It's in the shoe.
They might. This is going to be a situation here.
I expect a blowout, but
this
is
going to be a situation here. Either this is a very, very tight game, tighter than expected, or Ryan Day is going to unleash $20 million worth of NIL on Michigan.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like Michigan doesn't have close to that themselves. Come on now.
They do, but listen, you saw what he did to Indiana. He went for a touchdown late. He didn't need to go for it. He's going to go for several of them against Michigan if he can.
When was the last time he beat Michigan?
20. Well, they missed the COVID game.
It was
Yes,
COVID
yeah,
game?
he's got to win over Michigan.
Not just the COVID game.
No, the COVID game didn't take place.
Okay. So
That was when the game got interrupted.
Conundrum. Ryan Day's pink slip waiting for him on the field.
I'll say this. If Ohio State gets their teeth kicked in, absolutely. They're
They're not going to fire him until after the playoffs.
Yeah.
Not until after the playoffs.
Owen, I actually kind of agree with you. As absurd as this was on Moen After Dark. I actually agree with you, kind of reflecting on it, that he must win either this game or the national championship.
Yeah.
If he loses both, he's done. Which is
I think he can get to the.
That's
I think he could get. I think he could lose this game, make the playoff, get to the national title game, and still keep his job.
No, I don't think that does it.
Because that would be a hell of a.
I mean,
he'd have to go through. He'd have to go right through the playoff. Probably a road game. He'd have road playoff game, neutral site, national title. That's
Mo. And let me pitch this to you. Okay, close, tough loss to Michigan. Weird game. Some crazy stuff happens. Okay. Ohio State wins the Big Ten championship, and they lose the national championship in another close but tough game. Does Ryan Day keep his job?
It's going to be hard. I think he would probably leave. I think they would let him resign instead of firing him.
Well, I don't think he wants to resign, so it's just we're giving.
I think at that point there would be an NFL job opening.
Wow.
That he would jump at. But yeah, I mean, listen, that team up north has had Ohio State's number. We can say all we want about Connor Stallions, et cetera, them ducking us during the COVID season. You can say all that stuff, but they've won the last 3 that we played against them. So Ohio State is 10-1. They are number 2 in the country. That team up north has had a rough season. Like I said, this is either going to be a really close game or Ryan Day is going to let out a lot of frustration against them.
I want to say this: those tickets being $200, it's kind of
that is not the correct ticket price. I am telling you right now, it's not.
No way.
No,
it's not.
That'd be the most disappointing ticket price, considering that an FCS game got to $400.
Yeah. Quick sidebar: our friend Earl Carr is wishing us a happy Thanksgiving, heading out of town. Absolutely. If you're traveling for the holiday, there's supposed to be some inclement weather around the country. Plan ahead, chains, snow tires, if that's applicable where you live, emergency food and stuff. It seems silly until you need it, and then you're going to be thankful you packed all that extra stuff for you. So stay safe out there, everyone, and have safe travels over the holidays.
So that's the game. Let's go ahead and move on next.
Well, we need our official prediction.
Any of us taking Michigan? Yeah. No, come on, move on.
Are
you taking Michigan?
No, not straight up.
Okay,
of course not. The points is where.
I mean, I'd take the points, but
I think I might take Michigan in the points. On the other hand, Ohio State will absolutely run this sucker up on them. Like, given any opportunity, I think, because of the way the last few seasons have transpired. So that's the only caveat to it, is that I think Ohio State might run up the score even if
if Michigan has any pride, they're going to use it all up in this game.
Caveat: Ohio State. Hold on, buddy. Ohio State wins straight up, but I'm hesitant on the points.
Listen, I like Ohio State here, but don't think for a minute I'm not taking this game deadly seriously. This game is the most important game of the season, as it always is, regardless of what their record is, regardless of what Ohio State's record is, regardless of what's on the line. It all comes down to this. Clay Johansson, if you're still in chat, you know what I mean. This dictates how you live the rest of your year. If you lose this game, you deal with that for a year. Ohio State fans have had to deal for the last 4 years not having a win over that team up north. You guys went on quite the streak you did before that, so you understand exactly what it's like. This is going to be huge. This is a big, big game, but I agree with you, Pickles. If Ohio State gets up big early, they probably will pour it on.
Oh, you have to. It's not even for the committee because you'll be playing in, this is that. I mean, that's the other motivation for Ohio State. Like, you don't necessarily need style points. This is your play-in game for the Big Ten championship and your shot at a bye week into the playoffs. So there's everything to play for, even beyond the rivalry, if it needed any extra juice, which it doesn't. So, yeah, I'm hesitant on the points. Ohio State's going to take it, though.
Then we've got Illinois at Northwestern.
Does Northwestern have a shot? Does Illinois cover? Let's say that.
Yeah.
7.5? Yeah.
This is going to be this is going to be a very interesting game. This is at Evanston, Illinois. This is at the field right next to the lake.
I did not account for lake effect snow. My goodness.
Weather lifted at there. They don't even have the weather forecast listed there, probably because you can't forecast weather there. Yeah, that could be a game changer right there. The weather. I mean, Luke Altmyer threw that 40-yard touchdown pass this last weekend. I don't think you're going to get any 40-yard touchdown passes thrown in this game.
We have multiple people in chat saying this is Wrigley, despite what the
is it at Wrigley?
Scoreboard is saying there for you.
Okay. It's listening to this the Sharon Martin Stadium. Okay.
Either way, it's supposed to be sunny and cold. Like, I think.
Okay.
The high that day is 29. I just googled the weather. High is 29. So.
Yeah. Illini had already calling a low-scoring game there. I mean, yeah, Illinois has shown. I mean, they put up 50 on Purdue, and Northwestern's a little better than Purdue, but Illinois can score. I don't know why they. Man, I'm having a hard time thinking they wouldn't put up at least 30.
Purdue also put up 49 on Illinois, so I understand Illinois put up 50, but 49 on Illinois from Purdue, who is the worst team in the conference and probably in the Power Four. Illinois is favored by 8, essentially. Give me the fight in Illini. I think they finish it out.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that Illinois losing this game ends all talk of their playoff hopes. Since they have 3 losses. And I hear 3 lost teams can get into the playoffs. But with that, Illinois is going to run the ball right down their throat because everybody else has. Northwestern can't stop. Northwestern couldn't cast a shadow. They couldn't. They can't do anything defensively to stop the run. Half the time you don't even know if they're on the field. I expect Illinois to win and cover. I think it's going to be low scoring because it's going to be who can run the ball, and Northwestern can't throw. Northwestern can't. Illinois is going to beat them. I think it's they have the total 44.5. I don't think it even gets past. I don't think it gets past 35. I think it's like a 21 to 10 kind of ball game. It's going to be slow and just. Bleh. With that, I'm going to watch it because
I am not going to watch it because it's running up right against the gate. So.
I know, but I like bad football, and this is going to be bad football.
If I turn over to the Illinois Northwestern game, you're going to know that Moen is in a very, very bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you'll soak up every bit of punishment if you're on top of Michigan, I'm sure. Yeah, this is as much for my education as anything. Is this a proper trophy game? Does this have a trophy?
Yes, it does. They said it's a stovepipe hat is what Tony Washington said.
Y'all got to pare down these trophies or give me a cheat sheet or whatever.
This is a new one. This one's only been around since Legends and Leaders came into play.
Which is silly.
10 years.
It's a state rivalry. Why wouldn't this have had one? I don't know.
Listen, the only trophy game that matters to Illinois is the Illy Buck Trophy.
Yeah. Keep in mind, people, I'm a Washington fan. We don't even have a trophy with Oregon. The game doesn't even have a name, okay? That's where we
don't respect them enough to have it. Come on.
The best part of the Big Ten is a lot of our trophies are based off of animals or inanimate objects that have no value.
We'll get to it. It's called Cascadia, people.
Oh, God. No, that's some made. That's
no. I'm saying we don't call it Cascadia. This is Cascadia.
For TCU,
no.
Baylor,
this is Cascadia. We take it from the soccer folks, the MLS folks. Cascadia gets wild. That game gets wild. Again, the only game I've ever been to where a child flipped me off was an Oregon game.
Classic. The best part about the Oregon-Washington game, no matter where it's played, is that basically everyone in the stadium drives back to Washington where they all live because it's better than Oregon.
Well, because everybody who's watching it on TV lives in Florida.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's get to the other game.
Moving on down to the rivalry that the Big Ten tried to sell for years, but really just isn't. Maryland-Penn State. Do we have any particular thoughts about this one other than Penn State playing for essentially playoff seeding?
Yeah, no.
Penn State's going to cover. It's 25.5. I think Penn State covers. I know I see Clay Johansson in there say take the points. Man, Maryland I can't take the points with Maryland. And I think, again, like Pickle said, they're playing for playoff seeding. They're looking for that number 5 seed. They want to host number 12. I think Penn State comes out and just rolls.
The over-under is 50. Penn State's going to cover that.
Oh, yikes.
Penn State's going to cover that themselves. This is
a cheat sheet for betting on Maryland. Does the month in which you're playing have 2 digits? Okay, don't bet Maryland.
Yeah, I would.
I have nothing against Maryland. I'd like to see them be kind of a mid-level, good team, kind of some exciting games and not. But the pattern is just undeniable. It's wild. Man, yeah, Penn State's gonna roll. It's not a whiteout, but it's like a pseudo whiteout, right? Real quick, Earl Carr stopping in $5 super chat. Appreciate it, my friend. Good news. I will be on the road coming back when BYU kicks off. Perfect time.
There you go. Kick on the radio. Listen to the radio announcer.
Radio is, if you have a good radio announcer, it's underappreciated because the ability, if you're in the middle of doing stuff and can't watch the game in person, some radio calls are just unlistenable. They're just absolutely nails on a chalkboard. So enjoy it if you got a good one. All right, the battle for the Jeweled Shillelagh, now a pseudo conference rivalry game of sorts. You got a Midwestern team battling a Big Ten team. Moen, does USC have a shot to upset the Fighting Irish?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Notre Dame. Look, I understand that Notre Dame's had a very good year since that loss to Northern Illinois. They really haven't played a lot of people. They've played Navy and Army. No offense, I know you guys are Navy people, but they pretty much dominated Navy. They dominated Army this past week. I think this is probably the best challenge they've had recently. So USC has a chance. Notre Dame's only favored by 8. It's at the Coliseum. It's at 3:30 p.m. East Coast time on CBS of all places. You will not be seeing Notre Dame on NBC. That being said, I think Notre Dame probably wins.
Okay. Obviously respect to Army and Navy. My son's very excited about his television program. Obviously respect to the service academies, but it's pretty simple. Can you defend the triple option? Yes, no, okay. You've determined whether you can beat them or not. Notre Dame can defend the triple option. It's a totally different test. I get this is a true rival. They are traveling cross country to the Coliseum. This will be a sold out Coliseum game. It always is for Notre Dame, even if USC's not doing as well. I don't know if USC has the guy like a Caleb Williams to cover up some of their flaws against a on paper superior opponent. And I am so tempted to thread the needle and take USC on the points, but Notre Dame to win outright. I am so tempted to say they're gonna win it close. Talk me out of it, Becky. Am I talking nonsense? Because I always cheer against Notre Dame.
I have Notre Dame losing. This is the upset. So here's the thing with here's the thing with Notre Dame. They're on a 9-game winning streak. The best team they played in that 9-game winning streak was right the week after playing, losing that game. 2 weeks after, basically, after losing that game, the best team they played since is Louisville. Louisville.
I was about to say, who were their ACC opponents? Because
that game was
a true game.
31. That game was 31-24. Okay?
Louisville's good though. Like Louisville's not a
Louisville's good. I think USC's better.
Okay.
I think USC. People keep forgetting this is the same team that beat LSU, and this is a team that has lost 4 games by 1 possession. Literally 1 possession. It's not. We're not talking about some crap team that just gets rolled over. USC plays everybody tight.
Yeah.
They're going to do it again. I don't think, and I know people like, oh, they don't have the firepower. There's no, Caleb Williams. This kid at quarterback is covering up the problems. Now, he just needs to be a little bit smarter. Get out. If he sees a lane, just take it and go. He'll do that. This kid won last year at UNLV. People forget how good UNLV was a year ago when they were supposed to be dead last in their conference. He elevated them. He's not a bad quarterback. I think their offensive line has played much better in recent weeks. I think their defense is much improved. And I don't have any faith because Notre Dame just ran the ball down Army's throat. I'm sorry. USC, you're not going to run the ball down USC's throat like that. Like USC has
Becky. We have breaking news. We have lured in the leprechaun with our Big Ten pot of gold full of Big Ten bucks. Joe Long, who I assume is a Fighting Irish fan. Good to have you in chat, my friend. We are all for trash talk as long as you keep it cordial. That's perfectly fine by us. No cursing and all that. Family show after all. Big Ten hates the Irish snubs them in their overrated conference before the Pac arrived. And the Big Ten finally had credibility. The Pac saved them. The Pac-12 saving the Big Ten is quite interesting considering the Pac-12 doesn't exist anymore. But I see what you're saying there. And, I get it. There's a lot of anti-Big Ten Notre Dame hate. We get it. But you now have another Notre Dame / Big Ten rivalry to add to the pot with your Michigans and, Michigan States and Northwesterns and whoever else you want to say is the Notre Dame rivals. So I'm just saying, I get you love being independent. It's been a contentious issue for years, but you're a pseudo Big Ten team. It's just the way it is, my friend.
By the way, speaking of our overrated conference, when was the last time Notre Dame beat Ohio State? Because I seem to remember last year, this absolute stud of a quarterback named Kyle McCord, who threw 3 pick sixes against Pittsburgh, coming in there and beating the Fighting Irish at home. That was at Notre Dame, guys. So, listen, you got so much cred. You haven't won a title since 1988. I mean, listen, I'm not going to say how old I was, but that's pretty. I remember watching the game. So
I'm just saying I think USC is going to win this game.
Yeah, I would say 1988, Moen. I'm going to make everyone feel real old in chat. I wasn't alive yet. I currently am a homeowner with 3 children, so that should give you a context of how long ago that was.
Absolutely.
Just
and you know what, Joe? If you guys if you win, come in here next Monday, and you can talk all the crap you've had.
Yep.
And but until then, you gotta win. You gotta win. So
didn't Michigan win the national title last year? Just kind of.
Yeah, it's an overrated conference, though.
Yeah, and they played another team that's also in the Big Ten now. Weird.
All right, let's get to Rutgers and Michigan State because this is also a pick 'em, and I don't want to pick either one of them.
Quick sidebar, though, I will say this is the best. This is ultimate college football realignment where every rivalry and every game this week. I mean, I'm staring at Rutgers, Michigan, but that's interesting in its own way, even if it might be kind of a slog to watch. But the slate of games is incredible to have all these rivalries on the table.
It is.
But getting on down to maybe the least appealing of the bunch, Rutgers, Michigan State.
I don't even know if this is a trophy game.
It's not.
Okay.
It's not. You know what this is? This is Penn State didn't want a natural rival. Rutgers didn't want a natural rival. Maryland didn't really want a natural rival. So
Yeah.
Michigan State's like, we want a rival, but we want to play them in like October every year. So what do? Okay, Rutgers, you can travel to East Lansing. Okay.
If they reverse these opponents and you had Rutgers, Maryland, which is interesting in its own way, and Michigan State, Penn State, is that a more exciting set of 2 games?
Well, Rutgers and Michigan State?
No, if you had Penn State playing Michigan State at the end of the year.
Yeah, that would be a lot better half the time. I think Rutgers should play Maryland every year at the last game of the year.
I think they should.
And, I mean, I get Penn State's like, we don't have a rival. We don't, because your rival at this point, after, 30 years in the conference, would have to be Michigan and Ohio State because you can never beat them. But, why not? Rutgers and Maryland should at least, because they used to be, ACC, Big East, transplants basically. Like it makes sense. But I mean, Michigan State wants their rivalry to be Michigan, and they want to play it every year. And like I said, late October, early November for some silly reason. So.
Yeah. Clay Johnson points out Rutgers runs the ball, MSU stops the run. True, Michigan State has been prone to cracks at times, which has cost them games. Aiden Childs is still like total hit or miss. Like when he's on, he looks really good. He's super talented. When he's off, he looks like a young quarterback that makes big mistakes. I think this game actually comes down to how much can the Greek rifle, Kaliakmanis, complement the run to kind of take pressure, because Monungai's been banged up. Rutgers' run game hasn't been as effective as of late. Can he do enough to move the chains when they need him to? Can he convert 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 where a run's not ideal? Can he move the ball enough?
I'm not even concerned about him. Aiden Childs is the one that I'm concerned about because he's hit or miss.
Yeah, Jekyll or Hyde. Yeah.
Jekyll or Hyde. And Rutgers, they can run the ball. They're going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball well against Michigan State. But people don't know this, but the Greek rifle has the best touchdown to interception ratio in the Big Ten.
I mean, if you don't throw very much, you're going to have a pretty low number of both.
Crazy. No, well, he had entering Saturday, he had 14 touchdowns and like 8 picks, which is ridiculous. He doesn't turn it over. So
it seems like a lot. Is that just me?
Yeah. Well, if you looked at it, Dylan Gabriel has like 12 picks this year.
Yeah.
I have like 30 touchdowns, but he's thrown 12 picks. So
true.
Like, come on. Like it's Rutgers. They're fine. They've got 6 wins. They're bowl eligible. Michigan State after last year. Jonathan Smith is going to get them bowl eligible. Give me Michigan State.
Yeah, Earl Carr. I did miss this one earlier. Official prediction for against the team. What's their name is Earl Carr's description of the team up north. 28-7, the Ohio State. Perfectly reasonable scoreline, but it always feels like it's never that simple. It's never that clean with 4 versus 1 touchdowns.
Listen, I'll take a 1-point win on the last second of a game. I just want to win.
Yeah.
Ryan Willie, is it good for a coach to publicly question his team's effort? I know this was kind of a big controversy this week and definitely rubbed some fans the wrong way.
Absolutely. But, look, it's hard for the defense, and I should have said this earlier when we were talking about it, but that Wisconsin defense put up such a fight the week before against Oregon, only to have the offense not be able to score more than 13 points. I mean, of course, if you're a defensive player, you're going to get crestfallen at that. You're out there playing your ass off, and your offense can't score 2 touchdowns. That's all you needed to do to win, and you couldn't do it. So, yeah, it probably wasn't right for him to question the effort, but I understand where he was coming from. Listen, this is it, Ryan. This is the axe. This is, in order to go bowling, you need to win this game. In order to at least have a season that is not terrible, you need to hold on to the axe. So, and we need to see Greg eat that cheeseburger. So, You said you're going to be at the game freezing your butt off. You better be screaming loud and proud for those Badgers.
You better jump around till that sucker almost breaks, Ryan. I'll hold you to it because we all want to see the. I don't know if Flugar's lactose intolerant, but we're all going to find out.
Yeah.
We're going to find out together.
Want to talk about a game where you're not going to freeze your ass off?
Yeah.
Fresno State at UCLA.
Real quick, I felt the need. We kind of got moved on from this, but our friend, the Irish Fran, Joe Long, last year Notre Dame kicked OSU's butt clearly for the entire game to the last play. Highly debatable, but I get the sentiment. And Rutgers and Michigan State, perfect to my argument. I mean, when you're in a conference of one team, yeah, it's pretty easy to pick on the teams that are having a rough season.
Right.
I don't want to hear it. They play Army and Navy every year.
And they lost to Northern Illinois.
They lost to Northern Illinois.
Cherry pick your schedule and put in quite a few patsies. I mean, you lost to Northern Illinois. Yeah, having a great year, but he doesn't exactly go away.
They're not walking out and playing like, Ohio State.
Yeah. Tony Lashin
and an Oregon.
Northern Illinois has never been rejected by the Big Ten.
There you go.
Yeah.
And
kicking the hornet's nest tonight.
I will add this right here, right now, Pickles.
Yeah.
There are how many Big Ten teams?
That would be 18. Oh, in the playoffs?
4.
Very
right
likely
now?
4. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And you know who could play spoiler? We're gonna get to him here in a minute.
I'll count that.
They're not gonna knock him out, but it can make it difficult.
Yeah, Mo, and I'll count that as 4 because I know those were doubles.
Yeah, we're gonna count them as.
So, Fresno State and UCLA. You know what this is interesting for? Because Fresno State and UCLA is not a good game. Fresno State is not. I don't think Fresno State's as good as UCLA. I think UCLA wins this game. But you know what's funny about Fresno State? They have been bullied on the ground this year. UCLA cannot throw the ball. So take that. Want it. And, I think Ethan Garbers is – I think UCLA is at their best when you think Garbers runs the ball, gets out, makes plays, does his silly things. I wish he was a Husky sometimes. I really wish that would have worked out. But I'm glad he left because we had a crap offense when he was here. So what do you guys think? It's UCLA 9.5. I actually do see 10.
I don't have strong thoughts about this game. This one to me is upsetting because this reeks of Cal board members' hurt feelings. This should be Cal. This should be UCLA Cal. Last game of the year. USC plays their other traditional rival. But you have, the California Public Schools Bowl. I don't know if they actually have a proper trophy, but this should be UCLA Cal, and they need to sort it out.
There's no trophy with UCLA and Cal. They just play each other. I think really it should be like Stanford. They should be playing Stanford this week, or
somebody not. No offense to Fresno State, but don't do the SEC thing and play an FC or a G5 opponent to end the year.
I mean, it's not a bad G5 opponent. Don't twist it. Like Fresno State, pride. They're pretty good.
They're not exactly like a traditional UCLA rival.
No. Nowhere near.
Just a weird game, and it's upsetting.
Weird spot. Like this should be this. If we're gonna have full-on rivalries, we should have UCLA and USC this week, not USC and Notre Dame.
Yeah,
probably have that next year because Notre Dame, USC does not like to play in cold weather in November.
Yeah, it is what it is. I think UCLA should win. They're talented. They can move the ball enough. Garbers, if he runs it, They put up a valiant effort against USC. It's not like they were just, blown off the field.
Yeah.
So.
Oof. Do we have to talk about that game? Do we got to talk about that one?
Yeah, Tony Lashin. Yeah, 11-1 Indiana, 100% playoff.
I'm not going to say they are a lock. We'll know more about what the committee thinks tomorrow because I have a weird feeling that right now, like SMU and Miami are both going to sneak in there now. I want to say they will, but I think they need to beat the crap out of Purdue. Sorry, Purdue. I think they got a 29.5.
Yeah.
Indiana's going to score 60 on them.
Signetti, after the result last week, and he was known to run up the score against FCS and FBS opponents. Like, what's he going to do to Purdue when their playoff, credentials are being called into question? He's going to just hammer them.
Yeah. I think they blow them out. They got to blow them out. What do you think, Moen?
Listen, this is for a rivalry trophy. You guys will like this one. This is the old Oakham bucket.
The bucket.
It is an old bucket.
Very.
And that is what they
yeah,
play
very
for. So,
You have a lot
Indiana,
of old items. You have an old brass spittoon, an old oaken bucket, an old whatever.
bucket, $5 bits of broken chair.
Man.
Yeah, it's a lot of inanimate objects or animals. So
It's like it's like almost as if you had like old timey trophy name AI generator. It would spit out most of these.
That'd be fun.
That's the vibe I get.
That would be fun.
Indiana is going to blow them out.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
They're gonna
even
hammer.
close. It's at Bloomington. I think they want to definitely get out there and put as many points on Purdue as they can. To
That
impress
line's
the
pretty
playoff committee.
wild.
29.5.
That's
Listen,
full.
I'm taking Indiana, even at 29.5.
I'm taking Indiana the 29.5, and I'm taking the 56.5 total. You gotta be kidding me.
My counter to that
Half?
is Purdue finally brave enough to do what they did against Illinois and other teams where they uncork it and just let it rip and maybe they get 21 points?
Look, I'm going to be honest with you, Pickles. They could do that. Indiana scores so quick and so fast. It's not going to matter. Indiana
out on defense.
I will be shocked. I will say it out loud. I will be shocked if Indiana punts in this game. I don't think they're going to punt.
That's wild. Yeah.
I don't think they punt. If they punt, I'll be surprised. I bet you they punt twice.
At least they don't have the
They're not
Purdue
gonna punt.
double black end zones to contend with, so that's good.
Well,
All right. Then we will end rivalry week and hate week. I'll let you guys go off on this one. I
Pure
guess
hate.
this is the Cascadia is
No,
what we're going
It
with.
has
Nope.
no name. It
It's
has no
Oregon,
name.
Washington.
No, we just call
Oregon,
ourselves Cascadia because that's where we're at. in
Okay,
Cascades.
we'll
It
call
has
this
no name.
the
It has
the
no
hate
name.
The rivalry formerly known as Prince.
Husks and Ducks. Let's do it
Husky
that way.
Duck, sure. Yeah,
Oregon's going to win this game, guys.
Oh, look. You know what? You know what's
Anyway.
going to happen? All week you're going to hear about Ted Bundy was a Husky.
He was also a Utah Ute. I mentioned that.
Also
to
Utah
Wild
Ute.
Ute.
Oh, and he also hung out around Florida State. But hey, you know what? He did get his law
Ted
degree.
Bundy did indeed attend the University of Washington.
Yeah,
That
he
is
did get his law
correct. He
degree
did
from
not graduate.
Washington. He got a law degree from Washington. He was a lawyer.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I thought he didn't graduate.
No, he was really, really smart.
That's our
no.
famous alumni.
He was a Husky. Let me just say this. I hate Oregon. I hate them. They haven't mattered in 2 years. They don't matter this week. And I'm not even listening to them.
Yeah.
To them jaw.
Our counterpart, Jimmy Otson in chat,
Yeah,
Cascadia, the game.
We
has
know.
no
We
name.
know. We're just saying
Absolutely.
this is
We're with
Cascadia.
you, man. We're with you.
We're bringing in the soccer stuff where we call it Cascadia just because it's fun. I am. Because we hate each other. I
Oregon,
hate them
Washington.
so much.
Always
I hate
will
them
be.
so much. I'm not calling it Cascadia. I'm saying this is Cascadia. Well, I'm not calling the game Cascadia. I'm saying this is Cascadia. We hate each other. We're from the Cascades. This is what we do. This game is either one of two ways, Pickles. It's either a blowout or it's really tight. There's no in-betweens.
Yeah.
Now, oh, hey, you lost by 10. No, there's no in-betweens. You either get your ass kicked or you kick their ass. Like
The majority of them, regardless of which team, like there's quite a few years where one team has been highly ranked and the other either not ranked or much less so, and it was still a close game. It's the typical rivalry where, yes, you have the occasional blowout one way, but it is a throw records out the window game. I do expect Oregon to win, but I actually would probably take Washington with the points because wacky crap happens in these games. It has virtually every year for the last 2 decades.
I'm going to say this. Our pass defense, legit.
Yeah.
Good luck throwing the ball. They're going to have to run the ball. They have to run the ball.
I just don't believe our O-line can hold up to Oregon's pass rush.
No, that's the problem.
That's
My
the problem.
question is, now, Jed Fish said he was not going to release a depth chart and announce who the starting quarterback is. Well, he released the depth chart, but he put Will Rogers as the starting quarterback, but he didn't say Will Rogers is the starting quarterback. So Williams could start this game. The freshman could start this game. If the freshman plays when the freshman steps foot on this field, the offense is different. So I fully expect Oregon's going to have to be ready for read option. They're going to have to prepare for 2 different quarterbacks. That puts a little pressure on them. They have more depth than we do, especially on the D line. But you know where teams have had success against Oregon all year? All year. Running the football down their throat. Idaho could do it. Idaho could do it.
If they respect your pass game.
Oh, and they're going to respect the pass game because we have great wide receivers.
Yeah, real
Austin
quick.
and Jackson are going to cause headaches.
Yeah, the chat was discussing kind of Oregon and their resume and everything, and mentioning Boise, being one of their close games. Joe Long, Boise, that just barely beat Wyoming by 3. Yeah, Boise. And you're saying that's not that impressive, but unlike playing Northern Illinois, they won. And Boise's probably going to make the playoff. They're really good. So,
and Boise
they played
probably wins that game if their punt return defense was better. So.
Yeah, Boise's good. Jimmy Otson, our resident Duck fan. Ohio State, Boise State, only teams to score real points in Oregon. Yeah, that's the deal.
Like a lot of points, yeah. But I mean, you gave up 14. You could barely beat Idaho.
Yeah, but Becky, I think there's the difference that I've seen in a lot of these games. Like even Maryland had some success. You can move the ball on them to a certain point, but those a lot of times are not turning into 7.
I'm just pointing out a certain defensive end for the Huskies is healthy and playing this week.
That's why I'm saying I'm taking Washington with the points.
I don't expect us to win. Don't get me wrong. I don't expect us to win. However, if we do win, I'm not going to be surprised.
Yeah, typical rivalry. Like wacky crap happens. It's like Moen with Michigan. Like Moen is not ruling out the possibility that wackiness happens and Michigan pulls off a crazy miracle.
And I like how
in a true rivalry, records are out the window.
I like how Jimmy Otson's like, that was Oregon's first ever win over Boise.
Yeah.
They had 8.
Yeah.
It's hard. I don't understand how hard it is to beat a team that bad. It's Boise.
Yeah. It was a weird series because Oregon started playing Boise right in the peak Chris Peterson era when Boise was essentially a Power 5 team and very, very good. So, yes, they got their first win over Boise, and it was a close win. So,
yeah.
Boise's poised to be the G5 in the playoffs.
I'm just going to say this. I'm going to say this. If Lanning gets the opportunity to just run this score up, he's going to take out 2 years of absolute frustration on the Huskies.
Yeah, it's Ohio State-ish in that if he gets ahead.
I fully expect that. I fully expect. That's why I said this game is either going to be really close or a blowout. No in between. And I'm telling you right now, Washington's not going to blow them out. So
no.
There's
an infamous game that Oregon fans will remember where after literally 13-year losing streak against Oregon, Washington in 2016 had a good team, went to Eugene and hung 70 on them and did not pull the starters even 1 second of that game.
Oh, they were still
hung
throwing
70
the football.
Yes.
Jake Browning was still throwing the football
to
Pettis and a couple other guys who made the NFL, and they were still trying to run up. By the way, it was
late in the fourth.
That was Justin Herbert's first ever start. That was his welcome to the rivalry.
Yeah.
By the way, you know what they did the next year? You know what they did the next year at home? They beat him 38-3, and he didn't let up then either.
No,
kick the field goal.
I'm just saying we're pointing this out that it is typically a close game, but when one side has had the ability to absolutely put their boot on the throat, they do it. And that could happen to the Huskies. I concede. It could definitely happen.
Could absolutely happen.
Jimmy Otson saying he wants to be up 40-0 at halftime. You know, if they can, they will. I'll say that.
I'll say it like it might happen.
They'll try. I bet you they will.
I'm gonna try. I guarantee I'm gonna be really, really drunk Saturday night or really drunk and really happy Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean, if Oregon wins and there's not any kookiness with faking injuries for clock time, cough, cough, you tip your cap, you move on to the next year, and that's all the congratulations you're going to get from me. But I will say I don't expect Washington to win, but if they do, you will never hear the end of it, ever, 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 that we blew your number one season and undefeated going into the playoff.
I want to point out there's a Notre Dame fan in there saying the SEC's laughing about Idaho. Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois. I don't want to hear anything.
Yeah, I mean, SEC.
Idaho would whip Northern Illinois right now.
Auburn lost to Cal and then just beat Texas A&M. What are you taught? Like, you want to play that game? We can do it all day.
USC beat LSU. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
But like I said, this game's going to be a blowout, or it's going to be really close.
Jimmy, I don't like the nothing to lose attitude. Hey, man.
We have nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose. We've won 3 in a row. And we won the biggest game in the history of the series.
We're already bowl eligible, and we can't make the conference championship. Nothing to lose, man.
Look, we haven't won a damn road game all year.
Yeah,
this would be the best thing in the world to win this one, though. I would laugh.
But this is our first non-coast-to-coast road game. This is a regional. I won't call it a home game, of course not. But this is our first in our own backyard road game.
It is still closer than the school in Pullman.
That is correct. So
I will just say this: I'm not going to root for Oregon, but my preference is Oregon wins, goes to the conference championship game. Ohio State wins, goes to the conference championship game. We get another rematch. That'll be Ohio State's 4th top 5 game this season.
Goodness gracious!
If that happens, I think I am going to Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship game.
Okay.
Would love to see that. I want to get that win over Oregon. I want to get my revenge game this season. I don't want to have to wait 2, 3, 4 years for whenever we play Oregon again. So I wouldn't be shocked. Listen, guys, this could go to the conference championship game. These two teams could play each other again in the playoffs, potentially in the national championship game.
I saw Big Ten Ted posted that, and that was actually literally my next question to you, Moen. Right now, we're going to pose it to you. Ohio State beats Oregon in the conference championship, so you're both 1 loss. We don't know the outcome, but you are going to rubber match in the national championship. Do you take that right now?
Love it. I would take it right now.
I think
Ohio State, Oregon is the start of a new rivalry.
I have one of my best girlfriends. She's an Ohio State alum. I would gladly root for Ohio State with her. I've gone to games with her at the shoe, so I would gladly
we would become
put
the
on
biggest
the hat
Buckeye
and everything.
you've ever seen.
Yeah,
it'd be apocalyptic.
I would be all about it, and it hurt. My friend's father just passed away, and I'm telling you, he was the biggest Ohio State fan you could ever imagine. He was a booster and everything. He's going to will that team from heaven. I swear to you.
We appreciate everyone hanging out here for this extended edition of the Big Ten Mafia Show. We're wrapping up, getting close to championship week, and it's hate week, everyone. So we had to do a big old breakdown. But getting toward the end, Moen, do we have any thoughts kind of more expansive about I think we know the 4 teams we expect to make the playoff. Do you think that they try and weasel us out of Indiana making it, or even Penn State, let's say? Do they try and magically take away one of the 4 playoff spots for the Big Ten?
In the words of Ryan Day, I think those teams need to leave no doubt. Go out on the field this weekend, put some points up, show that you deserve to be there. The Big Ten is the best conference in football. We deserve 4 shots in the Big Ten. Absolutely go Big Ten. But most importantly, go Buckeyes.
I think, Moen, I think he's kind of watching on delay and just got to our Indiana-Ohio State recap portion, one of your Buckeye brethren. So delusional. Indiana 75 yards and 78 the rest of the game. Ohio State would whoop their butts. Hey, man, your fellow Buckeye even said that Indiana caught some bad breaks, and that was the reason for the blowout scores.
I said Ohio State won 2 out of the 3 facets of that game.
Yeah.
And he only won by 21.
Again, I just want to put that out here. Indiana held Ohio State to their lowest yards in a game this season offensively.
Indiana's defense is legit. They are very good. They're underrated, I think, because you don't see them amongst all these defensive leaders and total yardage allowed and things.
Yeah.
Ricky Tungate pointing out all this anti-Idaho talk in the chat. Idaho is indeed in the playoff. Yes, they are. FCS playoffs. Let's go. I'm all about the FCS playoffs.
I want to point out to Joe Long that Oregon would play Notre Dame right now and whip their ass.
Yeah, Joe Long saying nobody wants to play Notre Dame right now. I don't think anyone wants to play any.
Everybody not named Georgia would probably do it because Georgia has no quarterback and they'd still win. Notre Dame hasn't played anybody. Sorry. Like
I don't think Notre Dame wants to play Oregon right now. Like
no.
it goes both ways, my friend.
Yeah. Ohio State? No. You don't want to play Ohio State.
They haven't beat Ohio State since 1936.
Yeah. Texas would roll Notre Dame right now. And Quinn Ewers is hurt.
I'll take my Husky hat off for a second. The Huskies are 0 for all time against Notre Dame.
No,
we have never beaten them.
We have beaten them
I think 3 or 4 times of playing. Yeah. So tip the cat on that one. But real quick, there's some chats and things we missed going along the way. Ed Wayner visiting his sister in New York, Michigan law grad, her husband, Ohio State grad. Man, that sounds like a heck of a family get-together. She knows Michigan will not win this week, but it's okay because of the Natty. She is setting her husband up for a trap. That is a trap if I've ever seen one. Prayers to that man. He's
no offense, Mr. Ed Wayner, but you've got 2 lawyers in the family, and one's from Ohio State and one's from Michigan. Wow.
Moen, just be honest. If you needed someone to represent you in a life or death case, which one are you taking?
I would probably take I'd still take the Ohio State grad.
I'm taking the Michigan grad.
I'm taking the Michigan
like the Midwest Cal. Come on.
No offense, Moen.
No offense, Moen. Like you, Ohio State's a great school, but you're like Wazoo next to Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, I'm happy for them. I'm glad they found them. If I had a girl and she was rooting for Michigan, that would be a deal breaker.
I mean, like if you had. Like I'll say it out loud. Like Washington and Oregon, they had 2. If one was a lawyer from each school, which one are you going to take?
Washington. Washington is a top 10 school in the world.
Yeah, Michigan is literally like Cal, but it's in the Midwest.
Yeah,
come on.
Same colors and everything.
Like even I'm like I'm just going to be honest. Like come on. There's only 2 schools in the Midwest that are great. And
yep. Joe Long, the Irishman. We missed it earlier. Apologies. We would have wanted to answer this one. Is Penn State worthy of a number 4 rank? I don't know.
Nobody else is.
I mean, you can't tell me there's anyone in the SEC that truly stands apart. I mean, Texas has had problems, and then you have a bunch of 3-loss teams. Like everyone's saying Georgia. Like, go look at Georgia's losses. Like they've had, stuff along the way. Resume-wise, Indiana, especially after, Indiana lost to Ohio State, and everyone was poo-pooing their resume, but Indiana beat the teams in front of them. And this is going to be my almightiest of Big Ten tinfoil hats. You get everyone to overrate the majority of the SEC, so they get all these ranked wins against other ranked teams, and they just inflate each other's resumes. Like
here we go. I posed this question to the other guys.
That's my
right opinion. Now. If I put Penn State on the field against Miami, who wins?
Penn State.
Probably.
If I put them on the field against SMU, who wins?
Penn State.
If I put them on the field against BYU, who wins?
Penn State.
Okay. So, yeah, they're worthy of it's justifiable. The only thing that we have is we can.
The caveat that I would say.
It gets a little weird once we start talking about once we start talking about Notre Dame and Ole Miss and like Texas, sure. But you know what, Notre Dame, you could solve this problem, Joe, and you could be the number 4 team in the country. Just join a conference, because you'll never get a home game. You'll never get the bye. You're never going to be in the bye. You'll always have to play the first round.
That's the deal with the devil you took is Notre Dame, and if
All right, so I've got to
go. So
let me do this. Ricky Tungay, Idaho is in the playoff. Thank you, Ricky. Much appreciated. How are you guys so confident about 50-50 games, conference homerism? These games will be played at Penn State the way the rankings are set up right now, assuming Penn State wins out. So, yes, that's how I'm so confident.
I'm confident if that game is played at either Eugene, the Shoe, or in Happy Valley, I'm 100% confident they win because it's at home.
Those are tough.
They go on the road because you're going to have Southern teams having to play in bad weather, period. Like it's going to be wet and rainy and cold in Oregon, but it might snow in Columbus and even Bloomington and Happy Valley. Those teams don't play in that kind of weather. Yeah, I've taken them. I'll take them 8 out of 10 times. I'm taking them, but you know, come on.
Yeah. But that is for another week. We are in hate week, everyone. Embrace the hatred that is upon us. We appreciate you staying with us a little long. And football or non-football related, Becky, what is your one for the road?
I'm just going to say it. Green bean casserole is disgusting. Stop making it.
Don't you mean hot dish?
They call it a casserole. It's not. It's a hot dish.
Okay.
It's not. My Midwestern family weeps when you bring out that crap. It's made by Campbell Soup. It's gross. Stop it. That's it. That's all I got. That's all I got. I don't eat it because it's gross.
All right, Moen, give us your one for the road.
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks. Sweet and simple. I will mirror that with a go Dogs, although I am far too pragmatic to predict them to win outright. But I think this may be the spiciest week of rivalries in recent memory. And I am definitely down to watch as much college football as possible. I'd encourage everyone, check out every single game you can. And we will be here next Monday, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, to recap it all and look ahead to the conference championships. From myself, Becky Moen, and everyone at the College Football Mafia, we appreciate everyone being here and everyone talking in chat. We will see you next week, and peace out.
Bye.